Old Time Gray here. What we've got is a vice grip bar clamp. I made it from a cheap import imitation vice grip, a 1/2 inch pipe nipple, 12 inches long, a little chunk of 3/4 pipe, a cap, and a coupling. Vice grip still does and used to make a version of this on their own. Where this bar is like an I-beam, but the originals are getting the original made in USA ones are getting kind of expensive. I saw one on eBay the other day for $88 and another one for $175. So I made this one for about $30. This was brand new. This I had laying around, this I had laying around, and these two fittings I bought. I'll show you how I did it. Here's the whole kit that we need. Our cheap vice grip, pipe coupling, pipe cap, a 3/4 inch nipple, and a 1/2 inch nipple. I just happen to have one that's a foot long, so that's how long our clamp is going to be. First thing we got to do is remove the fixed jaw of the vice grip. And we just get rid of that rivet, and out she'll come. The Ma Bell persuader here, and a Dasco punch. There we go. There, now it's sunder. A lot of ways to do this, but I just lopped off the threaded portion of that nipple. Now we need to make an angled cut and a straight cut. So I'm going to make the angled cut using the porta-band. You could use an angle grinder. This is a little quieter and might as well. And deburr it with the Dremel. I oriented the weld on the pipe towards the long end because that's where I'm going to split it to put in the movable jaw, and so it'll look like that with the short end away from the pressure. So pressure here, short end here, because you want it to cam like this. It's a little clutch piece. It has to be at least this wide, so I'll whoop it off right in there somewhere. Before I do cut it off, I'm going to slit it along the weld using the angle grinder. Now I need to wedge open that slot so that it'll just fit around a 1/2 inch pipe, because 1 3/4 doesn't quite fit over 1/2 inch. Close, but not quite. So just the chisel. In the slot, the persuader, and so here it is wedged open, and here's the 1/2 inch pipe. So the theory of operation is this slides over this, and then the movable jaw is welded in there, and then when you get pressure here, it cams it this way, and this acts like a clutch and grabs onto the pipe. This might be a little long though. I'm thinking this might be a little bit long, so I think I'm going to tack it together to make sure it works. And it's not quite round anymore, so I'm going to probably bang it a little bit tighter around here. Just take a hammer to it and just kind of rewrap it around this 1/2-inch pipe to make it round again. That's better. So here's our experiment. I just tacked this hardware store reinforcement strap onto our clutch, and I'm pushing down on this and in on this, and it's grabbing really good. And interestingly, if I flip it around, so now the high end of the clutch is up, it works just as good. So I think I'll go with this way just because that's how I originally conceived of it. But all right, I'll knock this apart and then weld up the final piece. To mark the movable jaw for cutting, so I've laid this in the industrial strength workmate. Here's the upper grip. That's where the pipe coupling is going to go. Then if I overlay, this is the twin to this one. They came in a set. If I overlay that, the top of the jaw is just eyeballing it. Let's say about like a 5-degree angle down. So I'll copy that with my stare at angle gauge. It's going to sit something like that. And I'll mark this rude dude for cutting. All right, marked the movable jaw for cutting to fit into the clutch. And I'm going to sculpt out a little piece out of the coupling to sit on the vice grip main handle, main frame. Do those with the angle grinder. All right, final setup. Notched coupling, clutch, upper jaw, movable jaw clamped in. Pivot's about 1.125 away from the edge of the bench. That pivot's 1.125 away from the edge of the bench. The angle's right. Clutch is in place, okay. And I wedged in a piece of steel inside of the hole left by the rivet so I can bridge it with a weld. Okay, I'm gonna go tack this in place. Okay, to fill the gap on the clutch, I decided I'm going to use a piece of coat hanger. So this is nothing more than a piece of coat hanger with the finish sanded off of it. It's like some kind of varnish or something they stick on there. So I'm just going to arrange that there and just use it as filler as I weld. And I wedged in another piece of shim stock over here to help to plug up the rivet hole. All right. Yeah, hit the ground. And there it is in a very light duty application. Just tack welded, so I have very little pressure on it, but clamping these two hunks of wood together. Works pretty good. And obviously we can make that piece of pipe as long as we want. It is a two-handed operation though, because you have to control the orientation of the moving jaw this way as well as this way while you clamp. But most clamps are two-handed operations, so no great loss there. All right, I'm gonna finish weld it and clean it up a little bit, and I'll be back at you when that's done. And here we are, all welded up and grinded up. I'm just going to finish it with some linseed oil because this thing's going to have a rough life, so I'm not going to pretty up too much. So for using it, let's demonstrate on 2 blocks of wood. Two-handed operation for sure, because this can spin obviously, which is good and bad because it's easy to position, but can't control it with one hand. Line it up, adjust the clamp load, nice and tight. Those babies are in there. So here's another action shot just to demonstrate. I'm just going to clamp it across the workmate here. Adjust the tension. Obviously we can put as long a piece of pipe in here as we want. I just had a 12-incher. There's nothing stopping us from doing an 18 or 24 or whatever. Kind of a better view of using it. So just clamp on this chunk of wood. So slide the movable jaw, get it roughly in shape where you want it, adjust the tension. There you go. Release it just like a regular vice grip. Something narrower. Get it close, adjust the tension. Release it just like a regular vice grip. And again, you know, we can make this as long as you want, but just a matter of going to get a piece of pipe. So I'm going to end this one here, and it's on to the next project. I will see you there and then.